when our customers succeed, we succeed. When people utilize them for various business services, that means that they are growing. That means they're depositing more money. That's good for the bank. It's good for them. So it's win-win.
You're listening to Stories from the Top, an inside guide to better business development. We are back once more with Katie Martin, the Director of Marketing from First Resource Bank. Katie, thanks again for coming on. If you want to just very quickly recap who you are for people who may have missed our first few interviews.
Sure. My name is Katie Martin. Again, I am the Marketing Director at First Resource Bank. Active community member. I do a lot of volunteer work, so I have the opportunity to connect with local business owners and also a lot of just wonderful local volunteers. I volunteer with the Salvation Army of Westchester, the Rotary Club of Westchester. I'm a board member with the Exton Region Chamber of Commerce, all kinds of organizations. So I have a really great relationship with a lot of wonderful giving people.
Excellent. So in this episode, we're going to focus on some specific strategies you guys have used in marketing. But first, I just wanted to ask, banking is probably one of the most boring topics in the world. How do you make that a fun and exciting thing in marketing?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Banking is super exciting. I mean, when I walk in a room, people are like, oh, great, the banker's here. No, I would agree. It's not it's not everyone's favorite topic, but it kind of is. I mean, the reality is, people love money. They love making money and they don't really know what to do with it sometimes. And that's kind of where a bank comes in. We help you to manage your money. So is it necessarily exciting? Well, it's exciting when you're making extra money, when you're earning interest. That's when it's really exciting. It's exciting when you're getting that loan to maybe build a new home or a loan to expand your business. That's when it becomes exciting. So for us, I think the way that we make it exciting is by sharing stories and sharing the stories of our customers and how they have utilized our services and utilize their money to either grow, or they've saved money, or, by saving money, they were able to take that money and do something else. So it's really about sharing the story of somebody who, what they did with their money.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. How have you been helping to share your customers' stories?
So one of the ways that we help our customers tell their story is through our television commercials. For us, it's really important to get the word out about our products and services, but there's no better person to tell that story than one of our customers. And one of the things that we specialize in is small business banking. So when we create new content that we share on television, we ask our customers to be a part of those ads. From our perspective, we believe that it makes our ads authentic. So you're not going to see the same person in our ad that you're going to see in, let's say, another ad advertising, heating and air conditioning services, or whatever other commercial is out there, a local pharmacy or things like that. The people in our commercials are not actors. They're real people.
For better or worse.
I mean, it's interesting. So not everybody who's been in our commercials is what's the word I'm looking for? They might not be as comfortable on screen, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the things that actually makes it a little bit special, is that these are real people. They're just like you and me, and so they might not be as screen savvy as the next person, but their story is authentic. And you can tell there's sometimes you film people and there's that little bit of fear. Like when the camera's not on them, you can have the best conversation with them. But the minute the camera's there, they're like, ugh. So I don't know. I really enjoy getting to help a customer share their story by featuring them, because they all have a different story to tell, and it's always interesting, and it always in turn helps to highlight our products and what they use. What one customer uses might be a little bit different than what the next customer uses.
Mm-hmm. No, and I'm joking, but they're very authentic. And like I said, whether they're nervous or not when they're in front of the camera, their passion and love for the bank really does come through, which I think is so powerful. We use testimonials all the time in our business just because there's something really powerful about letting someone who's already used your services be your spokesperson. And it's really cool how you guys it's almost like a co-op, the way you do the commercials, where you're both kind of getting a little bit of benefit from it. It's not just them only talking about it. You're getting to see them in their business and how you guys are actually fueling them through the bank to do what they do in the community.
Yeah, I think it's a genius way of making marketing content, because in the end, you end up with a commercial for your business that another person is so excited to share that they're telling all their friends, all their family, every time it pops on. You're kind of leveraging their entire network, because each person has their own network, and when they see them speaking highly of your brand, it instantly lends the credibility of that person to your brand. So it's really cool. It gets other people excited and kind of becoming a raving fan for your business, and it helps promote their business at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that layered marketing stuff where it's you guys are getting something out of it, your customers are really getting a benefit, and your employees enjoy it too. There's so many different layers where everyone's getting something out of it, and it's just a positive ball of energy rolling down the hill.
One of the things I also really like about it too, it's twofold. So one is I don't always have the opportunity to interact with our customers one-on-one. I'm often behind the scenes, whether I'm, doing social media posts or I'm out at an event or whatever it might be. So I don't always get that one-on-one time with our customers. And so for me, it's really special to learn their stories and also learn what's really important to them. So with everything that we do, I'm always listening. And I recall, when we had Edge of Cinema in our commercial, one of the things that I remember talking about with both of you was we talked about the script and what services you used. And one that stood out to me in particular was ACH transfers. And, you talked about how important that was for your business. And again, since I'm not always interfacing with the customer on a daily basis, I sometimes, I need that time to really explore and understand what products and services are the most important for small business owners in our area. So for me, it's really special because I get to interface with them. But it's also a lot of fun to help share their story and learn more about their business and create new contacts. When our customers succeed, we succeed. When people utilize them for various business services, that means that they are growing. That means that they're depositing more money. That's good for the bank. It's good for them. So it's win-win.
Yeah, it's kind of building the First Resource Bank community. Like, I love how you guys have everyone's business cards in there. It's kind of lets you go in and say, okay, these are all people who they love this bank enough to want to put their cards in and continue to bank here long term. Mm-hmm. So you know that there's a certain level of values that they have if they're passionate about First Resource Bank. It kind of like someone who's an advocate for your bank kind of gains some points in my book that they're actually about the community. So it's another cool layer.
I think another thing too, and in terms of helping to share the customer story is reviews. We don't currently do any type of review in terms of video reviews other than our commercials and sharing the story on that end. But we do a lot with Google reviews. We actively ask for feedback. And I encourage people to go on, take a look at our Google reviews and look up other banks and see what they're saying about other banks. For us, customer service is a number one priority. We want to make sure our customers are satisfied, that they're well taken care of. And so when you look at the reviews that people have left for our company, they're stellar. And so for me, I love seeing those. I love knowing that the people that I work with are going above and beyond for the customer and that the customer is leaving happy. And so a lot of times I will take those reviews and I'll share them on social media. They can go a little bit further than just Google. When I think about how does somebody find a bank, well, they're not necessarily going to go to Facebook and say, oh, let me find a bank on Facebook. That's not why they're there. I think if they really want a new bank, they're going to ask their friends, their family, and then they're going to look around on Google to see, or at least most of the people I know look on Google first before they do anything. They're looking at reviews. What are people saying? And when it comes to your money, you want to look at those things first. You want to do a little bit of exploring and finding the best institution to help you with what your needs are. And so for us, when I go on and I look at what other people have said about us, I smile. It's really special. The people that I work with are doing an amazing job every day. They're going above and beyond for the customers. And it's always exciting when the customer recognizes that, when they're willing to go on and tell the world, yeah, I bank here. Because when you leave a Google review, your name's there, everything's there. And they'll share the story. They'll tell you who helped them or what their experience was, maybe what service they used. And for me, having that information and understanding what's important to them only makes us stronger. It allows us to create products to meet their needs more. It allows us to share the story about those particular products which are most beneficial for small business owners and even individuals. So, if you bank with us, please leave us a review. But if you don't bank with us, go on and read our reviews. If you're looking for a new bank, I think that we can help.
So what would you say are the core pillars of your marketing strategy for First Resource Bank? I know we talked about some of the TV commercials, but yeah, how would you divide it up into like the main features of your marketing strategy?
So I think it's important to keep in mind that people are absorbing content from all over, and not everyone absorbs content maybe the way that I absorb content. Not everybody is spending time online reading articles and, trolling the internet. Maybe they don't have the time to do that. But maybe they're driving their kid to Little League practice and they're driving down Route 30 and they see one of our billboards. Maybe they're watching TV and they are watching, I don't know, the news in the morning. And so that's their time where they get to absorb some type of content and our commercial comes up while they're getting ready for work. Maybe they're looking at Facebook or LinkedIn. They want to expand their social network. So they're going in there and they're seeing what's going on that end. I think for me, the goal is to hit them from every angle, deliver our message in all these various platforms, because someone might be on one platform, but they're not on another platform. Or maybe they're in both, which is great. The more time that you can share your story and share your message, the more likely somebody is to receive it. And, just because I tell somebody that we've got free checking doesn't mean they're going to run in and beat down the door and be like, I need a free checking account today. They don't. But at some point, if they need a checking account or if, something's gone awry with their bank, their other bank, and they need help, they know who they can turn to. So for me, it's really about picking different avenues where I can help share our story. Part of that would be, digital ads, Google ads, Bing ads, television commercials, billboards in the community. Anytime we have the opportunity to just share our story from that standpoint. One of the things that we've done in the past, every once in a while we try to host events at our branches, or we'll host an event and we'll try to invite some of our customers to it. We try to do those, here and there a couple times a year. Maybe it's hosting a networking event with the local chamber. And it's a way for us to connect with our customers, connect with the community, and, find out what's important to them.
Who gets to write the marquee signs outside on the banks? Like we drove by Exton yesterday. Said something about like a combo meal or something.
Combo deal.
Yeah, combo deal. I was laughing.
Free accounts and great service.
Do you write all those? Or?
I have some help sometimes. That one was me, but it's sometimes it's hard. You only have so much space there, and what do you put up there? The other thing too that a lot of times, the average consumer isn't thinking about, but there's a lot of regulations when it comes to advertising, especially financial products.
I actually wanted to ask about that. Like, what are some of those restrictions?
So we could spend all day here going through them, but it could be something like, for example, I am not able to put a rate on that particular marquee sign outside, because if I put a rate, then I have to list several disclosures underneath that rate. Now, if you have a digital sign or you have a billboard where you can spell them out really small at the bottom, even though half the people can't see them, that's fine. But on the marquee sign, since I don't have enough space, I can never put a rate on there. So that's just one example. But sometimes it has to be, certain things have to be in a certain size or prominence. We're a member of our bank is federally insured by the FDIC, so that has to be on all of our advertising. At the end of the day, your advertising has to be very clear and concise, and it can't be misleading. So you really have to be mindful of that. And when we create various ads, everything that we do has to go through a compliance once over, if you will. We have a compliance area that I will create something. I'll give it the once over to see if I feel like it's met the compliance standards, and then I send it to our compliance department, and then they look at it and then they tell me, yes, this is good, no, it isn't, or here's what needs to change. But that's really to help the customer. That's to make sure that there's no way that they are going to misinterpret something. So, sometimes while it's a little bit tricky, I'm 100% okay with that. I'd rather it be clear and that there's never the opportunity for somebody to, you know, misinterpret something or think they're getting something and then they have something different. So it's tricky, but it is very worthwhile.
Have those regulations help push you into the more customer focused marketing where, like I said, you guys don't really do like, we're the best bank, we have amazing rates? You never really get into that with any of your stuff that we see.
Yes and no. I mean, I think from my standpoint, I'd rather, I'd rather our messaging be more customer centric because you're more likely to buy something if one of our trusted customers or somebody that you might know in the community tells you, hey, I work with them. This is a really great product or this is a really great service versus me telling you that. Of course, I'm going to tell you that we're the best. I mean, we are. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know if you've heard, but we were named the best bank in Chester County for the 7th year in a row. We've been named best bank on the main line. So we've gotten these various accolades, but I can tell you that we're the best, but you only know that if you come and bank with us or if somebody who banks with us tells you that, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more important to share that story rather than me trying to force that on you. You know, the only way to know is really to experience it.
So I have a question about like the division of your marketing budget.
Okay.
You had mentioned earlier that you put about 25% into investing in sponsorships and community events. How does the rest of your budget break down? Like which part is advertising? Then you got your sponsorships, and like what are the big pillars there that make up that budget?
I would definitely say the bigger pillars. I mean, community is obviously a very large pillar. That's about a quarter of the budget. And then advertising, between, digital advertising and television advertising, I don't know, that takes up a pretty significant chunk. That I want to say that's like 40%, 40 or 50%. I mean, there's other ancillary costs in there too. I mean, there's the production costs of creating a commercial or, maybe it's creating new pages on our website. Maybe it is brochures, things like that. So it varies. But I think bigger chunks are definitely the community chunk, digital advertising, television advertising,
And website management.
Website management.
Do you manage the website?
I personally do not.
I mean, is it like within your job responsibilities as the marketing director?
So some of it. So I work closely with our IT department, and we certainly have other vendors who help us out with things. But so from the content perspective, yes. From the technical perspective, no. I work with people who help make all the magic happen. So I tell them what looks pretty, and then they make it pretty. No, they're very great.
So I wanted to know more also about the workflow as you go from marketing into sales. Like, how do you transition from marketing to sales? And like, what type of role does marketing play in supplying sales with the things that they need?
Sure. I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's really supporting sales. There's people who are great salespeople when they have something with them to highlight our products and services. Like some people are really good salespeople when they can point something out in a brochure. And then there's other people who are just natural. They go in there and they have a conversation and they are able to connect with whomever they're talking to and understand their needs. And it just is like this easy flowing conversation where at the end of the day, they don't necessarily need any type of branded material to help them make the sale. And it's a little bit weird to use the term sales when it comes to banking, although it is. I mean, we are in the business of buying and selling money. But I don't always think about it like that. Because really we are helping people with with their needs. So it's not necessarily, when I think sales, and right, wrong, and different, I think sometimes you're providing somebody with something that they don't necessarily need. So for example, when I go into a shoe store and I leave with 3 pairs of shoes, well, did I need 3 pairs of shoes? I don't know. It depends on who you ask. I mean, I might say yes. My husband might say no, right? So in my mind, I think of that as sales. But when I think of banking, I don't necessarily see it as sales, even though it is. because we're really just helping to fulfill someone's needs.
Right.
So in terms of that transition, it's finding out the people who I work with, what do they need to help make them successful? What struggles or maybe what is the customer facing? What are they not understanding? What can we do a better job of helping them to figure out? Or how are they using our systems? Are they using our online banking system? Are they finding the mobile app to be friendly? And if not, how can we make that better for them? Certainly there are things that we can change, and then there are other things that are regulated that we can't change, which is fine.
So it sounds like you're supporting them with like print marketing, flyers, brochures, an app, digital sales tools, as well as do you use like video explanations to help with the explanation of services or anything like that?
Not currently, but it is definitely something that we've talked about. So I definitely foresee that coming down the road. A lot of times when we have a product or service, depending on what the service is, like for example, and this is true with all banks, when you have an online banking service or a mobile app, we're using an external vendor for that. And that's pretty common. So even though when you log on, you see it as us, it's an external vendor that all banks do this. So if they offer tools like that, a lot of times we'll use what they have already canned for us. But there also are opportunities where, maybe there's something that we've created that's unique, and then we would use our own materials at that point.
How much freedom do you have to direct the marketing like where you guys want to go for the year? Do you have like an executive meeting at the start of the year and this is our goal? We want to go more small businesses this year. We want to focus more on individuals. Who is like the decider on?
So you're looking at the decision maker on that one. Part of what happens is there's an overall discussion as to, what are we looking to achieve as a company and how do we get there? And then I take that information and I map that out throughout the year. And sometimes it goes exactly as planned and sometimes it doesn't. And I say that because, when I think back to 2020, I had all of these ideas for the year and all of these things that, I wanted to do. And then the pandemic hit. And then my marketing world took a little bit of a spin, not in a bad way. I mean, I remember when we went into lockdown mode thinking, I know this is going to sound strange, but it was kind of exciting from a marketing perspective because this was like the moment to you have to perform now. Like you have to start creating, web pages to help people understand these new loans that are available. You have to, make sure that the customer knows when we're going to be open, when they can get to the lobby, when is our drive-through open, things like that. So it was just maybe things that I had initially planned for the year. I had to press pause and just pivot and go a little bit of a different direction. But certainly at the beginning of the year, actually right now is really the time where that happens, where we talk about what are the plans for next year? What do we really need? It's always an ebb and flow with banks in terms of, the money that you bring in deposits and the money that you lend out. So it really it depends on what you need at any given point in time. And so I make the plans based upon what are the needs.
So as you look back over your whole career, have there been any moments where you had like a big oopsie or some kind of a mistake that you really had to learn a hard lesson from? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, certainly everyone makes mistakes. They do. A big mistake, I don't know that I've ever really made a huge mistake, but I certainly have made mistakes along the way. I mean, if there was any mistake that I think I made, it was more so on the personal level in terms of maybe not believing in myself as much as I should have at different points in time. And so that, for me, was probably the biggest mistake that I made. Maybe not valuing what I brought to the table. So from my standpoint, that's the biggest mistake. But certainly there have been little mistakes here or there. You spell something wrong. And even though you've done spell check and you've read it over 1,000 times, stuff happens. I mean, you don't want it to. And so you put all these protocols in place so that nothing happens. But it's not to say something couldn't happen. And I mean, my best advice for any marketer is just triple check it and then give it to 2 other people to check. Like just when you think you're done, you're not done. And it's only because you can only, you're human. You can only go so far. Even with technology, it's not perfect. So, triple check everything.
And what advice would you give to somebody listening who's looking to step up their own marketing game for their business?
I would definitely tell them to, listen to their customers, find out what's most important to their customers, and ask their customers to help share the story. If you have customers who are raving fans, there's no better person to feature in your advertising if they're willing. Some customers will be willing and some will not. I mean, especially in our industry, not everybody's willing to share where they bank. And I can understand that. That's like, it's personal to them. But if you have customers who love you, why not ask for their help? They've come and asked you for help when they utilized your service. So it's okay to ask them for help. And a lot of times they're more than willing to do it. So my advice for anybody in the field would be, if you're trying to attract a new business, use some of your existing business to do that.
Perfect. Well, Katie, thank you so much once again for coming on the show. It's awesome to hear some of the inside stuff. We've been watching from the outside for a long time, working with you on some campaigns, but you guys are batting 1,000. There might be mistakes, but everything looks amazing from the outside. You guys are doing awesome. So thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Stories from the Top is your guide to successful business development. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or find Edge of Cinema on YouTube. Stories from the Top is an Edge of Cinema production, hosted by Matthew Skura and Jeremy Schmidt. To learn more or get in touch, visit edgeofcinema.com/podcast.